So continuing with our 10-year in business celebration here, I'm talking about each of our employees and what it is that makes them so amazing as part of our team. And so the next person that I want to talk about is Justin Sherman. And Justin is our second longest tenured employee. He came on board in the fall of 2013. And it's funny to think back on his story whenever he came on board, because I jokingly say, like, I can't believe he ever came to work here. Because the role that he came into, I was very pregnant at the time, and we had Seth out in the field running the jobs, and he was doing great. And we had temporary employees, people who were here for the summer, or they were just doing this kind of work short term on their way to other careers. And so and Aaron was running the hardscape stuff, and he had somebody helping him in the field. So what I needed was somebody to take over the things that I was doing at that time. And so that would be working with customers, and mostly though, getting the jobs set up. There's a lot of procurement that you have to do, finding the plants, picking out the plants, making sure that all the materials are lined up for the crew to do whatever it is that they need to do that day. And that takes a lot of time. And so I was continuing to work with customers, and that was something that I could do even in the state that I was in, but I really needed somebody on the operations side of things to be getting all of that stuff lined up and ready to go. And so that was really the main role that he was intended to fill. And when we were looking for somebody to fill that role, I thought, there's no way we're gonna find somebody with the skill sets that I need in order to be able to do this, and the background and the understanding and all of that. And lo and behold, after a lot of praying, this resume kind of fell in our lap, came in online, and, I think it was mailed to us actually. And it was this really well put together resume, really well thought out cover letter, and with all of the skill sets that I was looking for, and a degree from Penn State in landscape contracting, which is the same major that Aaron and I went through. And so, you know, it was kind of like too good to be true. But I reached out to him, we started talking, had a couple interviews, and since I was pregnant, I made sure that those were interviews where we got to eat. So I took him out to eat a lot, more for my benefit maybe than his, but we joke that that's how it all started, was just a lot of eating. But anyway, so he, decided eventually to come on board. But when I think about the situation he was coming into, we didn't even have a shop at the time. We were working out of a field, out of my Uncle Ed's backyard, basically, which, thank you, Uncle Ed, by the way. I know I don't stop and say that enough, but thank you for giving us that space to use back then to get us everything started. It was where everything began. And we were running our office out of our basement, which it wasn't even really that nice of a basement, but it worked. We were making it work. And we had 3 desks in one room. It was me and Aaron and Justin. And we, like I said, we were getting ready to have a baby. And so once that baby came along, I was upstairs with a screaming newborn. And as a panicky new mom, didn't know what the heck I was doing. And there was Justin downstairs doing a quantity takeoff on a giant commercial bid all by himself. So just a ton of responsibility on this, this new person on the team. And so it was kind of trial by fire for him, for sure. Came on board and just had to learn how to do a lot of stuff and figure out a lot of things, because I didn't have many processes in place at the time. But I will tell you that, boy, he did an amazing job. And at the time, maybe the most challenging thing for me was that he was someone who wasn't afraid to push limits. And so he would point things out, and he would say, you have this estimating system, we're not really utilizing it. Why aren't we utilizing it? I'm like, I don't know, I don't have time to figure this stuff out. And he's like, well, we're gonna figure this out, and we're gonna use it. And so he spearheaded it and figured it out and put it into practice, and we still use it today. And it was exactly what needed to happen. And then there were more things on top of that I was continuing to cling really tightly to, because when you're a business owner, you feel like you're the only person who can do these things. And even though when you get overwhelmed, you continue to cling on to them, and you're not even doing them that well. and yet you're holding so tight to them. And so that's where I was at that time. And thank goodness that Justin was able to see that and to say, you need to release this thing to me. I can do this. And then everything that I would release to him, he did it way better than me. Eventually he even like pulled the planting design away from me. And I thought that I was a pretty good planting designer, but he's better. And I thought I knew plants, but he knows more about plants. And I thought that I was okay at doing things like managing our website and doing any kind of we didn't really do much marketing, but any of that sort of stuff. Well, once he decided to take that part of it on, that's why we have the marketing presence that we have today. Certainly not because of me. And because he's so good at those things, I'm able to just release them to him and he runs with them and he does everything so well. And he does a lot of things. Like a lot of things. And his time management is unbelievable to me. He's able to somehow compartmentalize the things that he does. And he just says, okay, I need to do these 20 things. And he sits down and one by one, he gets them all done. And then there's me over here who's like crazy person running in 20 directions. And then there's just like level Justin, you know, he's just cruising level all the time. But he does get overwhelmed because he has so much stuff on his plate. And so fortunately we're bringing some new roles into the company and are gonna be able to take some of the things off of him that he doesn't have time to do anymore. And so just like me releasing things before, now he's going to be releasing things to new people. And so what's cool about that is that that's gonna free him up to focus on his new role, which will be the head of business development. And so that's where he's overseeing the sales team and overseeing all of the marketing. And also a piece that didn't really exist as a real role before, but now has become more important, is being in charge of directing and guiding our culture development here, because we've got a really strong culture and we've spent a lot of time nailing down exactly what it is that makes this culture so strong. And he has such a belief in that piece of what we do. And so it's a very exciting role for him to be able to take these sorts of things and run with them and really find ways to showcase that culture and to make sure that that culture stays true to what it is that we envision, what it is now, and what we envision that it will be for the future. So I really can't say enough good things about Justin. I know this is a really long video, but he does so much and he brings so much to this company. And outside of work, he has a very strong Christian faith and he does a lot of mission work in the community. If you haven't checked out the R&P coffee shop in Rural Valley, or Roll Valley as we like to say it around here, check it out because it's this amazing coffee shop that he and people from his church have put together. He's got an amazing wife, Bree. She used to be one of our babysitters and she is just an amazing human, just a fantastic person to know. He's raising these two awesome kids, Ayla and Obi, and he balances a lot of things and he does it really, really well. And I'll tell you, I'm so indebted to him for pushing those limits all those years ago and for continuing to push limits today. He is my right-hand man. I can't say enough good stuff about him. So Justin, we're so lucky to have you and keep doing what you're doing. And I'm excited to see what the future holds for you.